All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another episode of Check Your Six. This week we're going to be talking about the final week of Phase 1 in CR6, and we'll be talking about the US national matches that came up for the Eastern and Western conferences of Stage 3. This was a big week for a lot of teams in Collegiate R6 because if you were one of the teams who were 3-0 and you went 4-0, that got you into the Premier League. So those, I believe, 14 teams who are 4-0 right now are going to be going into the Premier League. Yeah, 13 teams. So then there's a lot of familiar names here. In the first place, we have CSULB, Division 1 team, sitting at 4-0 against opponents who had one of the highest win rate percentages that I've seen in the roster of all the 210 teams. Their opponents had a 72.9% chance to win, or that was their win rate when we were looking at the stats right now. So like that's just an incredible spree. Like all second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they all had a lower winning percentage opponents. So that's kudos to CSULB, and that's the same school that finished, what was it, second in the first season, and I think they were top 8 last season.
Yeah, I think, if I remember correctly, they were.
So I mean that's huge. Like that team is very clearly, they have a steady roster. They know what they're playing. They know what they're doing. They're number one for a reason. But following up underneath them being Grand Canyon University, another familiar face. Like now we're starting to see those returning teams come out. So Grand Canyon University, FIU, ASU Maroon, even San Jose and Cincinnati, they were all there. I believe all of those teams made it through playoffs last year. At least division playoffs, not necessarily national playoffs.
Yeah, I believe, Grand Canyon University did, I believe, because they were, I think, the first team that we played in the playoffs last season. If I remember correctly. So, they made it into playoffs, didn't get very far, unfortunately. When you saw that they were you said they were number 2 currently?
Yeah.
Is it their varsity team? Does it say Grand Canyon University
Yeah.
varsity? Okay.
It says varsity.
So yeah, it is them. So yeah, I'm gonna make the safe assumption that they're gonna make it pretty far. They're gonna safely make it into Premier League, which starts next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing them play.
And then you remember FIU from last year, ASU Maroon. I'm trying to remember where Arizona State was last year. Oh, here they are.
Arizona State. I don't remember seeing them last semester.
Lion Group 2, 7-0-1, it looks like. 7-0-2. So second place in Lion Group 2, just under University of British Columbia, which is number 7 on the list. So they ended up winning out in this week's, or in this phase's ranking, because of their opponents being more difficult. I guess is an easier way of putting that.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And there was one cool stat I want to point out. Like I'm going to highlight number 14, the first team to not go 4-0, who will almost assuredly make it into Premier League. Iowa State University, 3-1, no ties, but their opponent's win rate was 75%. So that means every one of their opponents also went 3-1.
Oh wow, okay.
Which means they had the toughest roster of anyone who didn't go perfect.
And they still went. Well, what did you say that they're 4-0?
They went 3-0-1. They're the top of the list of people who didn't have the perfect phase 1. And it's because they had the toughest roster to play against. And arguably, it's even a tougher set of opponents than what CSU LB even had. Because CSU LB had essentially a 73% win rate, or their opponents had a 73% win rate. So one
Okay.
of their opponents went like 2-2, or maybe 2-2, or 2 wins, 1 tie, and 1 loss kind of thing. So it's just a slight difference of who they played, but there is that statistic that just shows that there is teams who had a very difficult set of matches, more so than others. Like if you look at Maryville, number 13 on the list, they went 4-0, sure, but their opponents
Oh.
had a 52% win rate. So most of their matches, or most of their opponents, ended up going 2-2, or somewhere in there.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So that's just an interesting paradigm. Yes, you went 4-0, but you had weaker opponents. Iowa State had stronger opponents, and they all went 3-1.
Yeah, they all went what is it, 75% win rate, so 3-1.
Yep. And so Iowa State, just because they didn't have a perfect phase one, by all means should not be counted out. And I think that that is going to extend all the way down to the 32 teams that make it, because the top 32 teams, are all either 4-0 or 3-1. And
Dang,
so,
okay, yeah.
yeah, so we have a whole. This is literally the cream of the crop. This is everyone who's risen up. Now, there's going to be some discussion. I don't know what the tiebreaker is going to be between Team 32 and Team 33. So, like Bronco Esports Gold and Ontario Tech University, they both went 3-0. Their opponents both had a 58.25% win rate.
I would imagine the easy way they would have a tiebreaker would be to separate them by their round differential. So if one team's round differential is higher than the other, then they'll just place them above the other guys. So I believe that's how they might do it.
Yeah,
Assuming they take the easy route. They could have something else totally planned out, but that's gonna be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what makes sense. It's going to have to be something like round differential. And if by some miracle they have the same round differential, that would be absolutely insane. I would imagine that it would have to go to like a best of one at that point to be any reason of fairness.
Yeah.
But the thing is like that's the same situation for teams 32nd through.
I'm sorry, you cut out right there. You
Yeah,
said team 30.
32 through 37th. So they're all 3-0 or 3-0-1, with opponents who had a 58.25% win rate, and their opponents, or uh, the next statistic that they have, which is just win percentage, 75%, which there's, as far as how Battlefy displays the data, they don't have any differential any stat that would really set them apart. And we're talking, what is that, 6 teams, 7 teams who are like that?
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying now.
And even then, 31st place KSU Gold, they're in the same boat. So we have 8 teams or 7 teams who are statistically identical, at least from this leaderboard, and we'll have to figure out what that tiebreaker was, and we can talk about that next week. But so, main thing, we're getting a whole bunch of really good players showing up. To have 210 teams and have the top 32 be either perfect records or 3-0, and then be playing against opponents who were just as good as they are, like, this is going to be an insanely competitive season. And just kudos to CR6 for being able to put this together and get so many teams involved.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone listening that's in my chat right now, can you guys let me know when exactly the Premier League starts? Because I don't have it on the top of my head, and I noticed some of y'all are in here. So if you guys, I don't know if any of you guys could let me know tomorrow. It starts tomorrow.
Yeah, so this was the end of phase one. This was week 4 of phase one, and then the next matches are already set. So I mean, I can bring that up real quick. Start looking
Okay.
at phase two.
I was under the impression it started next week, but I guess it's tomorrow. I guess I was a week behind.
Well,
Or a week.
tomorrow is next week.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. I guess I got that terminology mixed up. Okay, so tomorrow. Um, yeah, do they have the brackets out by
I
any
don't think
chance?
so. I don't think so because I believe what XPR said was that they are determining the top 32 teams to make it into Premier League tonight.
Okay, that's really interesting. Okay, so the last two teams are playing tonight. That's why they don't have the brackets out.
Oh, that's
Is that
interesting.
what you're saying?
No,
I,
no.
I,
So what I'm saying is the week 4 ends tonight, and if there's teams who haven't played yet, unless they're a team that can go 3-0-1 or 4-0, the top 32 is set. But we have to wait for the official calculation of where every team fell and who's going to be in the top 32 positions. So, per XPR tonight, or this morning, in the CR6 channel, he said, if your team went 4-0, congratulations, you were selected to join us in the Premier League. Full listings later tonight for everyone. So I haven't seen any other updates from the CR6 channel, so I'm assuming that we haven't decided on the top 32, but phase 2 is going to be starting tomorrow. It's seeded 4 weeks of play, so this is the final week of phase 2 is going to be shorter than the others. So, but if we're going back to our Thursday recording, we should actually be able to comment on the final week of phase 2 with all of the data as much as possible, which will be great. So phase 2 is October 28th through November 22nd.
okay. Now, I would assume that if it starts tomorrow, that they need to have the brackets out by tonight, whether
Yeah.
it be, whether it be in the next hour or 3 a.m. I would hope that they have it out by tomorrow. Maybe they'll have it out by 6 a.m. tomorrow. Who knows? But um, people are gonna need to know this kind of stuff if it starts tomorrow. So
Yeah.
I'll be on the prowl for that bracket to be out, and we can take a look at it. So
Yeah. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. Seeing these matchups, and if it's seeded, I mean, we're looking at like um, CSULB going up against that 32nd team. Who was it that I said? Excuse me. We're still looking at a 4-0 team going up against a 3-0-1 team that had opponents who were higher rated than the opponents of CSULB. So it's going to even first versus 32nd is going to be a banger.
okay. One of my teammates said Tamu would be 32nd. You mean 32nd seed? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. Tamu's gonna be
Oh,
32nd
that's
seed.
right. That's
That's
right
interesting.
because Tamu and um, the finalists from last year they got the phase 1 bye.
So is it? Are you saying are you guys the last seed because you guys skipped all of phase one? So they just kind of put you at the bottom seed.
Kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah, that's what they were told. Okay, okay, that makes sense. That's fair. Since like you guys don't really have any stats from phase one to be put in the league,
So
they'll
so
just put you at the bottom of the seed.
so we get to see last year's spring runners up go up against season one's runners up, essentially, in the first
Yeah,
week of phase two.
yeah,
That's going to be a huge match.
yeah. I hope you guys are ready.
Oh, and actually, I'm seeing some stats shift around on the brackets. So that's interesting.
Like as of like real time.
Yeah, like, well, I just refreshed the page, and now Grand Canyon University is rated at first place, and CSULB is down in fourth place. So
Well, you know
that's
what?
weird.
That's when I brought this page up originally. That's how I had it. So when you brought it up before we started the podcast, and when I brought it up, they must have switched it.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
that's funny.
dang.
So I've been looking at I've been looking at the number GCU at 1 for a while now.
Well, it just means that they're figuring out that roster, the set teams for Phase Two's seeding right now. So that'll be exciting to see how things get organized at the end of the night.
Yeah. So if Grand Canyon stays at number 1 going into Premier League tomorrow, which obviously they are, so GCU and TAMU essentially, I mean,
Yep.
in theory, are going to be playing each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jake, I hope you're ready. Uh, you can play GCU. I think you guys, I think you guys will win, but obviously with them being 4-0, I hope you guys are at least somewhat weary of them.
I apologize. My stream is chugging a little bit, and I'm trying to figure out what's up with that. But
That's
so
okay.
that's basically CR6. We're wrapping up phase one. We're figuring out who's going to be facing who starting as of tomorrow. And I believe a lot of those top teams actually have streams for their games. So if you're in matches, please make sure you're sharing them out on either social media or in the CR6 Discord. I would love to be in and watching them, or God forbid I actually have time to join in and see if I can observe a game. That would be absolutely incredible. So feel free to reach out to me if that's a thing that you would want, is having another person observing and watching and recording. I'm happy to do so. It would be a great way to get for me to get more involved with CR6. So trying to think, is there much else to say about CR6? There's more stats coming up, but I really want to get into phase two and really start talking about the seeded best teams, so that we're not kind of looking at the phase one teams who are like playing really weak opponents consistently and being like, oh, this team overperformed. Now, with the start of phase two, we're looking at the best of the best, and we want to start highlighting those stats. So I think that's going to be a more interesting part that we can add into the podcast going forward.
Yeah, I think so as well. Well,
how about you take us in on how the U.S. national matches went?
yeah. So if you guys aren't aware, Pro League right now is kind of on a pause, getting ready for finals because last week was the last couple play days of Pro League. So the only thing that's going on right now is U.S. Nationals, and we had a couple matches this week, which determined who's going to land, which is going to be in Vegas. So we had Dark Zero also on. What is today's date?
27th.
27th. Okay. So last week 21st, 25th. So last week we had DG and EG play. So Disrupt Gaming and Evil Geniuses. Sorry to confuse you guys. And we had Dark Zero and a team called Bruh played, which we talked about last week. So DG playing EG, kind of funny to say, but that was actually a really good match, and it was actually huge. I mean, even though the Disrupt Gaming lost, this is actually huge for them, because it kind of shows their standing as a team right now. Because the Evil Geniuses, they're a strong team, no doubt. And the fact that they lost barely. They went 8-7 on Villa and 7-5 on Bank, and people are like, oh, EG winning, that's no surprise, but that says a lot about Disrupt Gaming, because if they make it into, I think they're going to relegations. Am I correct about that? If they
Oh,
go
I
to
don't know.
relegations this season, like that means that they have a total possibility of actually making it into Pro League. Because if they're that strong against EG, they have a huge chance to win against the Sonics, that are going into relegations this season. So I'm actually kind of pumped. I would like to see DG. DG's been a Challenger League team for a long time, and I would actually really like to see them make it into Pro League. So
Yeah, I was
we'll
really impressed with their play. I mean, they came out swinging. defense 3-0 against EG. Like that's that's just nuts on Villa even, and like just to come out against a pro league team 3-0 and being able to be like by sight retake and diffuser disable. I mean that means someone clutched up, made a kill, made some crazy play against
Mm-hmm.
someone a very talented team, and then was able to manage a retake, manage their time, and then get to the diffuser. And then the two other rounds that they won in the first three rounds by elimination, like either EG was just sleeping on them or Disrupt Gaming really came out for it. But that was my initial take, was just that like, oh, EG's like, oh, we got this, no big deal. But then it just keeps going back and forth, and then I had to go to those three tiebreaker rounds just to solve map one. I'm like, oh shit, GG is legit. And then you see
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's not just a one map, one and done, because it was the same thing on Bank. Like it went 5-5, almost back and forth round for round until Disrupt Gaming went for a stretch in rounds 8, 9, and 10. But then EG just clutched up and just ended it right then and there before they could even get to the tiebreaker rounds. But I mean, the fact that they made it so close, any of those rounds could have gone either way, and it could have gone in their favor both times.
Yeah, and also, looking at the actual scoreboard for the match, Yeti is just he is one heck of a player, and I think he's kind of underrated when people talk about him. I mean, I don't know about underrated, but in my opinion, I think he's quite underrated. He went plus 10 for that match, 25 and 15, which was a heck of a lot better than his teammates did. But at the same time, Car- Carnage B, I think that guy's name is.
Yeah.
That guy that guy got 4 plants down by himself. So that's pretty impressive, and to say the least. And those guys, I think EG kind of went in to just frag out, while Disrupt went in to play more. We just need to get the plant down because I think that they knew that they may not be able to like out frag these guys, and so they were more banking on to just getting the plant down and hoping that they win the round. So, which makes sense. But NVK really popped off as well, so I think that's what hurt them.
I could see it being almost like a specialty of a team being able to say, our thing is just to get the plant down and play the retake defense. If they're better on defense typically, I could see them taking that same strategy on when they're on the attack, just being able to go, we're going to get the objective planted, and then we're just going to treat it almost like we're defending anyways, and just rely on their strength. Is that something that you've seen before?
Yes, when a team isn't exactly like, I mean, it's just a good practice, like if you know that like your team can't outgun these guys, you're gonna out strategize them. That's just how it is. It just means that you're not going to go in there looking to take gunfights. You're in there to focus solely on the objective. If you have to get into gunfights to get to the objective, that's fine. But they're going to be in a group, and they're going to be able to take out any roamers because they're probably going to be 5 main roam clearing, by the as a team. So it's just how teams play that are more objective oriented.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I hear a lot about teams that frag out, and but you don't hear necessarily ones who are very specific about the objective. But I think this is my first exposure to a team that seemed to play that way.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see it a lot in Pro League because everyone's around the same skill level, so they kind of play it. They play the game normally. But when you get a Challenger League team up against a really good Pro League team, there's kind of just the intimidation factor, by itself. Like oh crap, we're against these guys, and they're insanely good. And going into it, they're probably like, okay, we may or may not be able to frag these guys, except for Yeti. Yeti was like, okay, guys, like I know you guys are probably not gonna be able to win many gunfights against these guys. So what's gonna happen is, I'm gonna entry frag, and you guys are gonna come behind me. And we're gonna plant. We're gonna get plant down as soon as possible, and then we're just gonna play off that. And that's just looking at the stats is exactly what they did. They pretty much just escorted Carnage in. Carnage got the plant down, and then they played off that. So
I think one of the other stats that you can look at to see the difference in playstyles is the one versus X column on the match sheets. You see that EG had Necrox with one versus 1x and Geo with 2 and Modigo with 1, while Yeti's the only one out of all of the rounds that they played to have a 1 versus X on his tally sheet. So it's very much just like play it out as much as you can, but it feels like whenever they were able to play their game, they never had to worry about that 1 versus X. Or I would like to know what their essential win percentages were in a situation like that. The fact that they didn't do it is indicative of their playstyle, but I want to know how many opportunities they had for it.
Oh yeah, because this column depicts the number of wins. So like this column means that they won that 1vx. You're saying that you want to see all the stats of everyone who got put in that 1vx, regardless if they won or lost.
Right, and I like specifically like maybe Yeti only won 1 of 9, or maybe like Spades, Carnage, Thumbus, and Reed were always alive together, so they never had that opportunity. That paints a very different picture than just who pulled it off.
Yeah.
I mean, for all we know, every round that they won, it was always the 4 of them alive. So they were never at a disadvantage, or they just always had more numbers than EG did in those rounds.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, so I mean, that was a great matchup to watch. I was excited to see EG be challenged so much, and like after our previous conversation last week about how EG was kicked out of going to Japan by Team Reciprocity, because I mean, you were excited to see Reciprocity going to Japan and see what they're made of on land. Seeing EG also being pushed to this level also gives me a lot of hope for those contention matches, the relegation matches coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. With the relegation matches coming up, I don't know. I think they're gonna happen after the Pro League finals, if I remember. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. But so the other match that happened with the US Nationals was the Dark Zero versus Bra. Now this was kind of an interesting match, as you said that on an interview, Bro said that they didn't have any strats going into the match, which is a huge. Which, by the way, if you're watching and you're not into Pro League very much, that's a big no-no. That's just kind of it's like going into a football game, like an NFL game, and not having a playbook. You're just kind of running the ball to run the ball. It doesn't make any sense. So it's really no surprise that Dark Zero won 2-0, 7-3, 7-1. It was pretty much just a curb stomp on Bruh. So I don't understand. It baffles me, like, why, this was the match to go to LAN, and you go into this match against the #1 team in North America with no strats. Like, I don't get it. Like, why? What was your reasoning? What was your logic behind that decision? Have you been going into every match with no strats this entire time? If you have, why choose now?
Like.
I mean, if you have been going into these matches with strats, why choose now to not go with any strats? Was this a troll, and like you guys just knew you were gonna lose, and so you were just kind of playing it off like kind of giving everyone a justification excuse and like why you were gonna lose. Like I don't, it that really it kind of bugs me. I don't know,
Yeah, it
but
sounded like that it wasn't so much just this match. It was commentary made during the match, so you can actually go back and if you watch the VOD as the matches are getting started, and like I believe it was during the map ban phase where the commentary was happening. It was a pre-game interview with Bruh that wasn't aired that one of the commentators did, and he was just saying that Bora came into this match no strats. Like they just want to play their game and they're all really good at R6 and they know the game, I believe is a direct quote from what the commentator said, and that they didn't have strats, they were just going to come in and play. I don't know if that was their approach to all of their matches as a team or if it was just this specific one. I got the sense it was just this match. Um, but
yeah,
still,
and
but
that's the
still,
point I was making earlier. Like, what had they been doing this the entire time, or did they just choose now to not go in with strats? Like, it's just I don't know. It's baffling, but
yeah, and I mean, like you said, this is opportunity to go to LAN. This is opportunity to make a bigger name, a splash for your name, make some more headway for visibility with
yeah,
either
this
brands,
could have been
sponsors, other teams. Like this could have been
yeah,
someone's break.
exactly. This could have been an opportunity to get your team on the board, whether it be like you said, sponsors, possibly even an organization signing some of you guys, like or the entire team. Like who knows, From what I hear, 100 Thieves is looking to come invest in Siege, coming soon, and like you guys kind of threw that opportunity away. Um, so I don't,
That is
you know.
actually a really you just dropped a bomb right there. Like that's insane. I hadn't even thought about the implications of 100 Thieves not buying into the Call of Duty franchise league. It's like, well, that money's got to go
Yeah,
somewhere.
that
They got
was
to use it for something. R6 sounds like a perfect reason to do that.
So those of you who follow 100 Thieves or Call of Duty fans, you guys know of Nate Shot. He owns 100 Thieves. Um, they recently pulled their entire organization out of the CWL because they realized that it wasn't worth it because CWL is getting pretty ridiculous. And so now his that money for competition's got to go somewhere else. And right now with the growing league and the growing like community, um, Rainbow Six Siege is an excellent investment opportunity, and I believe he has actually like mentioned interest um, in this league. So there is a massive possibility that if he finds the right team to invest in, he's gonna do it.
But
Um,
he's a very astute businessman, and he knows that the cost of the seed or CDL, is that the abbreviation? Uh, like that cost for his business, that was too much for him to do right then and there. Like in a couple of years, I could see if 100 Thieves is as successful as they have been and pushing content, pushing lifestyle, pushing everything that they've been just exploding on over the last year, really. I could see them
mhm.
going and investing into the franchise league. But as he said in his video, when he said that they were not investing, it just wasn't the right business call for them right then. And imagine that the cost of getting a CR6 squad is a much more um, viable strategy, considering he was already doing that with a Call of Duty team.
Mhm.
And so for Bruh to even come into this game, like maybe that was their strategy throughout all the matches that they've played, of just being like, oh yeah, we're good. We're not going to worry about this. We'll watch some of the other VODs. We'll talk about it. We're not going to practice. We're not going to like really call things out and stuff like that. But when you're getting this close, wouldn't you consider a team dinner? Wouldn't you consider like hopping on Discord and really trying? Like, to me, it just doesn't sound like they tried. When you come in and say you don't have strats, or you don't have a plan, or your plan is not to have strats and just play the game, like that doesn't work. That might work for ranked play because you kind of have to do that unless you're rolling as a group anyway. But this isn't ranked play. This is that next level. You got to show the
Yeah.
game some respect. Show
And
your opponent some respect.
also at the same time, like, not only did you throw that opportunity at Atlanta away, but you also basically just blacklisted yourself with that interview, with that commentary, by saying, "Oh, we're just gonna play the game because we know the game." Now you just told everybody that might be looking for people to sign on that you don't take this seriously.
Yep.
So whoever you are that did that interview, I really hoped your career up until now, because it's now over. Um, that's just the truth. That's just the truth of it. I'm sorry, man, but
I can
you ruined it.
we can only hope that whoever did the interview didn't actually speak for the whole team, and maybe there was just that one bad apple that made it impossible for that team dynamic to really succeed on that planning level. Maybe there's some other personal business going on, like some really like heartfelt, serious stuff going on, and we can always hope that that's the case with the players. But in the way that it was presented, in the way that it was given out to the commentator, and it just doesn't paint anybody in a good light. So I really hope Bruh can take a good look at themselves and maybe make a run at going for the wild card seeds in the U.S. Nationals.
Yeah, we can only hope so.
Yeah, so I mean, this week we have Phase 2 kicking off for CR6, and we have the U.S. National Wild Card happening. So two teams will all be determined this week. Those will be the last two teams going into the U.S. Nationals, and they'll be the final 7th and 8th teams there. So maybe Bruh has a chance to run it back this week. We'll have to wait and see. Uh, Hopefully, their loss to Dark Zero and their approach to the game hasn't been completely diminished that they can't make a recovery. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. So you said 8 teams total are
Yeah.
going to nationals. Okay,
So there
so
was three
Darks.
stages. There was three stages, and there was an East and a Western Conference winner chosen for each stage.
Okay.
And then wild card is only a week long, so that they can determine the teams instead of however long the previous stages were.
Okay. Um, Other than Dark Zero and EG going, do you have the list of the other teams that are going, or are they all going to be determined by?
Yes, I have the other teams. Let me tab over if my computer loves me enough to let me do that. I want to say I saw Reciprocity on there. Oh yeah, my computer's chugging. This is delicious. And my computer is going too slow. You might be able to pull it up on Siege.gg on what teams have made it there.
Is it under
I believe there's a category U.S. Nationals at the top.
for matches? There are unfortunately there are no. Oh, okay. Upcoming, the upcoming matches for U.S. Nationals, um, Tuesday and Thursday of next week is going to be LG, so Luminosity Gaming versus Okami, and then on Thursday we'll have Two Faced versus Katsu. Um, I know Two Faced is a Challenger League team. Okami, I've not heard of them. I know. Okay, so I know one player on Okami, which is Benji. I don't know who the other guys are. You got Prompted. You got Flack, Kilo, and Layman. And then on Katsu. Okay, I know two of the guys on Katsu. You got Makarov and Nosuke. But Mean Green and Habibi, I don't know who those guys are. They only have 4 players in the roster currently. I don't know why there's no 5th, but um,
What if that was just their squad? They roll into every match 4 versus 5.
Yeah. So LG versus Okami. This should be pretty good. I know Benji is a pretty good player.
Sweet. So I mean, I don't think we'll see any of or when do those matches play? Because I thought it was just wild card this week.
Um, it could be the wild card. I don't know. It just says it's on the upcoming page, CHGG, on Tuesday the 29th. There's LG and Okami, and then Thursday, October 31st, is going to be Two-Face and Katsu. So
Looks like we may get a lot of U.S. nationals this week. Because the wild card tournaments, like they're open, so they started yesterday, or the start time to register started yesterday. Second time yesterday as well. The late sign up goes until like it was only like 30-minute window to sign up. That doesn't look right. This is off of play.r6usnationals.com where teams were supposed to register for all this. So that looks a little weird. I'm hoping that's a copy pasta fail. Yeah, so 15 teams have signed up, 11 have checked in. Yeah, their website's a little weird, and with how slow my computer's going, I'm not able to navigate very well.
that's okay. Regardless, we're gonna keep an eye on those U.S. national tournaments this week, and on Thursday night, we will have a better update for you guys on the U.S. nationals and all the teams that played and the results. I guess this week we will, at the end of this week, we'll find out who's going to land, right?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Out of those wild card matches. So
And then, I mean, last week we didn't have time for it, but I know you recently did a video on droning and wanting to talk about a
it
little bit
was
about that. Or was it roaming?
it was roaming.
Roaming. We talked about
Yeah.
droning. It was roaming. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know you wanted me to talk about like a piece of advice every week.
yeah, it would be great
So
because I'm garbage. I am still hot garbage at this game, so you don't want to listen to anything I have to say. He's better.
yeah, now, um, uh, so these pieces of advice that I give are geared more towards like general help. If you're listening and you're a high level player, you know you may do things differently that work, and that's okay. My piece of advice may seem wrong to you, and that's okay. Um, but for those of you who need the help on how to do things, you know, just generally better and have a better foundation on these topics, then they'll be for you. But for roaming, a lot of people tend to approach roaming as I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna kill the whole team, you know, without them seeing me. And in my opinion, that's the wrong way to approach it. As a roamer, your goal is to waste time, and wasting time is huge because if you break it down, every round of siege is dictated by time. You know, every attacker is fighting the time limit to be able to put the plant down. You know, you don't have to kill the whole team to win the round. If the timer runs out, you know the defenders win. So as a roamer, you want to harass, you want to distract, and you want to keep them from planting the bomb. Now, if you do get kills, roaming, you know, that's a plus. But that's not your main objective. Your main objective is to waste their time. So with that being said, you know, you need to find a place on the map that gives you the best flow around the map. Don't trap yourself in a corner because If you trap yourself in a corner, if you get droned out by the enemy team, they're going to trap you there. They're going to keep you there and they're going to kill you. So you need to have an escape plan, which is why I tend to bring an operator that has impact grenades or a shotgun as a secondary, which is why I like to play Mozzie because he can make rotates really easily for himself. Or in prep phase, you can go around pre-busting open the hatches around the map. I like to keep all the hatches open. One that throws the team off when they walk in, they see all the hatches open, so now they're weary of people dropping down the hatches, and they tend to sit there and watch them for a while, and that wastes time as well. So um, you just need to be a ghost. If you need to let the enemy know that you're still there as well. So don't hide in a corner and sit there the entire round. You need to let the enemy team know, hey, I'm still here and I'm still a threat to you guys. And what that'll do is that'll keep in their mind, okay, we need to plant, but at the same time, there's this fucker behind us, and we have no idea where he is, and he's gonna kill us if we don't pay attention to him. And that's what you want in their minds, and that's pretty much the basics of it. Is you need to be that seed in their mind of, I don't know where this guy is, but if we forget about him, he's going to kill us. Um, and that will win the round for you guys if you play it correctly. So you don't need to be a super gunner to play a roaming role. Um, and I'm speaking purely ranked here. So comp is a different matter. We won't open that Pandora's box at the moment. But as a roamer in ranked, your goal is to waste time, however that may be. So take that as you will. I hope that betters your gameplay as a roamer. Um, if there's anything else you guys want to know about, just let me know, and I will be happy to talk about it.
I mean, that's all great advice, and it really connects to what I heard being casted on the Pro League the last few weeks of just being able to say, like, when you see a team not being able to set up for their approach the way that they wanted because they lost an operator early, or because they don't know someone's below them and waiting to just blow a hole and then toss up a C4 pack. Like, there's so many opportunities to be able to catch someone off guard and really throw off plans. And if you can get them down to like 30 seconds before the round's over, they have to rush. They have to throw caution to the wind and like not be thorough and not do all the normal checks that they would. The more time you can eat up, the more you make them second guess their approach, the more you make them worry about what's behind that corner when they're trying to look forward, they will eventually kind of trap themselves because the objective's in front of them, but there's a mystery behind them, and it's just dangerous for them to try and commit one way or the other. And eventually, they still have to go. Eventually, they still have to try and win the round by getting the
Mm-hmm.
defusal started. That's the thing. Like, because the round
Yeah.
doesn't end when it hits zero, it ends if you're not defusing. Like, that's the play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So if you have managed to waste their time all the way up until like 30, 20 seconds left in the round, the team has to make a decision. Either they try and frag everyone out on the enemy team, or you force them to force a plant at 0 seconds or 5 seconds or 10 seconds. And about I would say about 80% of the time it doesn't work because once you hit zero and you're sitting there planting, you can't get off the plant because once you stop planting the diffuser, the round ends and you're done. So you have no choice but to sit there and either wait for someone to kill you while you're diffusing, or you get off the diffuser and you lose the round. Either way, you lose. It's a lose lose situation. So.
And I mean, think about that. You either have to rush or you have to rush in with imperfect data about the scenario,
Hmm.
and then you have to make yourself even more vulnerable by planting. And you won't, with time running out, you're not going to be able to get that ideal plant spot. So you're even more vulnerable. The idea of that roamer just being this rolling and cascading and building pressure that puts them more and more disadvantaged as the round goes on, especially in those last 30 seconds or so. Like, that's your job. That's when their heart is racing and they have to put caution to the wind and they have to be vulnerable, more vulnerable than they ever wanted to be. You've done your job.
Mm-hmm.
That makes playing Roamer sound so much more exciting, and I might actually try now. I always felt like it was like you had to be the gunplay expert to just be able to essentially frag out, because if you're by yourself, you have to have that perfect approach to things. But if it's more about harassment and more about, I mean, even gathering data from your own team from that perspective, that feels a lot more approachable than just being all out gun skill.
Yeah, and I actually had one of the guys, or a guy message me on Discord who watched my video on YouTube. They were like, like I really like that video. Like, it's something that like I never thought about, but it's just so obvious, And I was like, that makes a lot of sense. It's just one of those things. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's Siege or something in real life. It's just one of those things that's just like so obvious that nobody sees it. You know, it's
Yeah.
the answer is hiding in plain sight. And that's honestly the answer to a lot of things in Siege. Um, it's just Siege can be a huge round of Occam's razor, and nobody knows it. So
Awesome. Well, if you have anything else you want to say tonight, otherwise, I think we can wrap it up.
no, I think that's about it. Unless you have something else.
I'm all good, so I'm looking forward to some more and some high win percentage matches this week for CR6, and then we'll also see what happens with US Nationals. Can Bruh run it back in one of the wild card tournaments? Maybe. Will we see? Will we see Luminosity take out, who was it, Okami or Katsu? Like, we got some unknown names coming up, so we're just gonna have to see how everyone stacks up with Disrupt Gaming performing as well as they did against EG, as we start learning more about relegations and where those are going to happen and when those are going to happen. We have some really big potential matches coming up, seeing how maybe Disrupt pairs up against Sonics or the other relegation team going down.
Um, I believe it's TSM. No, it's a Rogue. Rogue.
Rogue,
That's right.
yep. So it'll be Rogue. So some heavy hitters already in Rogue, and then Sonics, they were showing some promise. So we'll just have to see if they can hold the line. Well, thanks for joining me, Syntax, and it was a lot of fun. And have to catch up next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, take it easy.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks everyone for joining us. You can listen to the podcast on anchor.fm/checkyour6. As usual, if you want to leave messages, it's the same website with a /message at the end. And we would love your feedback. We would love your questions and comments. So feel free to leave some messages there, and we will incorporate it into the podcast. That's a lot of fun, and thanks for joining us here on the stream if you did, or if over on Syntax's stream you joined us there, and thanks for those commenting and helping provide some information on the fly. So we will catch you all next week. So see you all there.